Hey guys, welcome to my vegan kitchen. I'm Michelle. Today we're gonna make crab cakes. Well, vegan crab cakes. I'm gonna use jackfruit to make the most delicious vegan crab cakes. So if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Remember to tap on the bell and let's cook. All right, so let's get this party started. We're gonna start with a can of young jackfruit. We're not using ripe jackfruit, we're using young jackfruit. I'm using it in a can, mind your business. If you want though, you can use fresh jackfruit. That will work for this recipe also. Now, I get this brand, which is one of my favorites, even though there's many other brands. I seem to like this one just because it's a little more firm for me. I get this at my local international farmers market. I live in Atlanta, so that's the Buford Highway Farmers Market. If I can't find it there, I'll go to H Mart. H Mart is a Korean grocery store. If not, Whole Foods will have it also. All right, guys, let's bust this can open. I'm gonna drain off the water. I'm gonna place it in a bowl. And let me show you what they look like. When I say firm, this is like I'm pressing on it and it's not breaking apart, which I love. And it's just nice and just really firm. That's what I really want. Some of them just are a little too soggy. Now, for this recipe, like I said, I'm using jackfruit. However, I've done crab cakes with lion's mane mushroom. I've also done it with hearts of palm. Okay. This is what we're gonna do now. Now this can usually gives the jackfruit a little bit of a briny taste. What I normally do, now you can boil this with a little bit of sugar if you want, but you really don't have to because we're gonna season this up really well and we're gonna fry it. So all I'm gonna do is just put some really hot tap water, right, just to cover the jackfruit. And then I'm just gonna let it sit on the side while I prepare the rest of the recipe. So while the jackfruit is soaking, we're going to make our egg because we're not using a real egg, obviously. We're using flax meal to make the egg. So we're going to use a couple tablespoons of flax meal powder. And don't worry, guys, I will have all of the ingredients in the description box. So just kind of follow me now. Okay. And now we're going to do a couple tablespoons of water, and that is going to thicken up. So we're just going to mix that together, all right, just to get it nice and combined. And then we're just going to place this on the side, give it a couple of minutes to kind of thicken up, just like an egg would. So I usually use flaxseed meal. This is a good fiber source. So sometimes I'll put it in a smoothie, I'll put it in baked goods. I make a really, really good hemp seed porridge. I usually put that in there and it's a really good thickener. So it helps to kind of thicken up the porridge a little bit. So that's just a good item to have in your pantry. And I keep it in the refrigerator, it keeps it fresh. So now our jackfruit is ready. I have drained the water off. I also used a paper towel, or you could use a clean dish towel. Put the jackfruit in there and just kind of squeeze out the water. We want to get it like more on the drier side, you know, so we don't have too wet of a batter. So just like that, it's really dry right now. I'm going to place it in my bowl, but I'm just going to use my hands to shred it first. And I know a lot of you are going to send questions about the seeds. Now, if the seeds really bother you, you can take the process and take them out. Seeds don't bother me, and once it's cooked, you really don't even notice that the seeds are there. So I just kind of leave them, but it's your preference. I'm leaving them kind of shredded, but kind of chunky, you know, because we're trying to mimic some crab here, you know. So if you could notice, some pieces are big, and you know, the jackfruit will kind of dictate the size, because if you look like right here, this part of the jackfruit, it's a little firmer, and then this is a little softer. So when I try to break it apart, that still stays firm. So I just go in and just use my fingers just to kind of break those solid pieces down. So we're gonna start with some chickpea flour, just about a 1/4 cup. And we're placing everything in the bowl. It's been about 5 minutes for our flaxseed egg, and that's what it looks like. It's nice and thick. So we're just gonna put it right into the bowl with everything else. I went ahead and I finely chopped, as fine as I could make it, celery and red bell pepper. Now, I am not a big fan of the flavor of celery. However, I know that it does give these crab cakes a real authentic taste, so I'm adding it in. I'm also gonna go ahead and add some roasted seaweed sheets, probably about 2 or 3 sheets. You can also do nori sheets. It's just gonna give it that authentic seafood kind of flavor. And I'm just gonna crumble them in. You don't have to get too fancy with this. Just crumble those sheets in. They'll just kind of break away and cook up. I said 2 or 3 sheets, right? That was like 6 sheets. I really want this to have a really seafood taste. After our seaweed sheets, we're gonna add in some breadcrumbs. I'm using panko breadcrumbs because I like the flavor. They're bigger, they're thicker, they're gonna absorb more liquid. However, we can make this keto also. Instead of panko, you can use almond flour. Now I'm just gonna finish everything off with all my spices. Of course, there has to be some Old Bay in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and just start loading up all my spices. Now, this is where the magic happens. We're gonna mix it all up. Make sure this is all combined, guys. Take the time and get it all mixed up. It's starting to look like crab cakes. Now that I have it all mixed and combined thoroughly, I like to just let it sit maybe for about 5 minutes. I just want to make sure the panko breadcrumbs and all the flavors like kind of really melt together, really marry together, so it just tastes really, really good. So I'm gonna let this sit for a couple of minutes. Like I said, about 5 minutes or so, not too long, just enough time to give me a chance to clean up this mess before we fry it up. All right, guys, so we're all cleaned up. And I gave my batter, come on in so you could take a look. I gave it like 5 minutes or so, just to kind of like, set, just so it can, so we'll have the right texture for when we make them into patties. I have a skillet on the stove. We're gonna, on medium heat, get that heated up. I'm using grapeseed oil for frying. All right, so let me get enough in there. Now, we're not deep frying this, but I am coating the bottom of the pan with enough oil. All right, as we get that heated up, I'm gonna create some patties. So once I make my patties, I like for there to be like a little bit of flour on the finished patty before I put it in the oil. Sometimes I'll use all-purpose flour, sometimes I'll use almond flour, just to give it like a nice texture on the outside. So I'm just placing just a little bit of almond flour right on my board. I'm gonna just use a spoonful, so come in close so you guys can see, all right? I'm using just about a spoonful of this crab cake batter, and I'm making a nice circle patty, just like a meatball. Then I'm gonna flatten it, get the shape right, okay? Look at all that jackfruit that's in there. We could call it crab if we want. So once I get it like that, I just kind of place just enough almond flour, or like I said, all-purpose flour. That's gonna give it a nice tan look, and that's it. Shape, place that on the side, and I'm gonna make a couple more while our oil heats up. All right, so my batter made about 8. I'm gonna place them right in my hot oil. And you want to use a big enough pot that you're able to fit them all in. Kind of pushing them to the side. This one goes in the middle, and then this one goes on the side. And we're gonna let that fry up. Again, it's on medium heat. So while the jackfruit crab cakes are frying up, I wanna make like a little dipping sauce. I'm basically just using vegan mayo, right? I'm just putting a little bit of that in the bowl. I'm using some dill relish. Getting a little bit of that in the bowl. And I'm using some fresh dill. I'm just gonna take a couple of sprigs off and just get them in there. I'm not even gonna chop it. I'm just gonna get it in there just to have that fresh flavor. All right, and I'm just gonna mix that up, give it a taste. If I need to add a little salt or black pepper, I'll do that. But this will just give it, oh, the dill smells so good, it's so good. All right. Needs a little salt. All right, I'm gonna add some things to it. Maybe a little rice vinegar. That's what I'm gonna put in there. All right, let me add some more ingredients to this, and we're gonna get this plate ready, and let me check on those crab cakes. I'm loving the color of these crab cakes and the texture. Look at that, they're beautiful, and they're coming along. Let that cook through a little bit, and let me continue to make the platter. Let's taste this, make sure it's right. Now it's good. Honestly, guys, I just be mixing stuff up until I get it to taste good, right? I'm just gonna transfer this to a smaller container and a cleaner looking finish because I really don't want all the messy mixing bowl look. There we go. That looks good. We're gonna place some of these dill leaves right on the plate. Right, get that on the plate. And don't worry about the stems because the crab cakes will be right over it. All right, so let's plate them up. Let's put one right there. Let's grab, they're still a little hot, so I don't know what I'm trying to do. I think by now, I don't think I have much feelings in my fingers because I'm always grabbing something hot. All right, I don't think one of them is gonna fit. That's okay. That's the one I'll taste, and I'll leave this one for pictures. And that's it. That's our crab cake made with jackfruit. Isn't that gorgeous? Now, there's one left here in the pot. I'm gonna taste it just so you guys can see that it's for real. This is not fake food. This is some real food. Look at it. It looks like crab. Look at the clusters. All right, here we go. You know what? I'm gonna dip just a little into my little tartar. These are good. This is what I wanted. Now, hold tight. Let me chew. So what's interesting, I've done crab cakes, like I said, with lion's mane. I've done it with hearts of palm. I've done it not too often, but I've done it with jackfruit, maybe 2 times. I think my favorite is jackfruit, hands down. I think it has a nice firm texture. The flavor is really good. Visually, it looks like crab cakes. So I'm gonna say out of all 3, this one is my favorite, and I hope it becomes your favorite. You guys have to try this recipe. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for joining me in my vegan kitchen. Don't forget to subscribe, guys. Please don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to tap on that bell either, because whenever I come out with new videos, you guys want to be able to get the notifications. That's it, guys. Beautiful crab cakes. And I kind of threw some kind of sauce together. I'll try to remember what I put in here. Like I just be doing stuff. Anyway, bye, guys.